Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the program director and owner of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events. Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and welcome to our program today. So, if you've been watching or listening to our program, you'll realize that what we do is we take an individual horror film and we kind of critique, analyze, and have a general conversation about that movie. Now, that movie can be any type of horror film, from any different subgenre to any different decade, because we like to explore different types of films no matter when they were made. Now, that being said, one of the great things that we love to do is talk about films that generally everyone tends to like. And we like to also delve a little bit into films that generally people just loathe. But thankfully for you, the episode we are doing today has to deal with a film that is generally thought to be an excellent remake, which is not something I actually say a lot. So it is with great pleasure that we are talking about the Dawn of the Dead remake from 2004. And to talk about this film with me today is the amazing Jim Adams. Thank you, Jim, for joining us on the show today.
Yes, and what people don't realize is that this is a found footage film. Oh, no, wait a minute, that's the wrong. Okay, sorry. No, this is not a found footage.
Hey, you know what? There is that little clip in the credit sequence.
Yes, there is. There is. Yeah.
So for everyone listening to the show today, me and Jim.
At the very end, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Okay, yeah, I'm going to call it a found footage film then.
Over the last.
That's all I ever do. That's all I do, folks, is found footage film.
Yeah, me and Jim have been doing a lot of found footage films this year in anticipation of one of Something Wicked's grand schemes for next year is a book on found footage films. So we've been watching a lot of found footage films that we'll give
and the fact that we're the only people in the entire United States that like found footage films.
So we'll give you more information on that as the year.
But enough of that. Yes, enough of that. We're talking about the Dawn of the Dead 24. And you're right. This is a good remake. I loved the 1978 Dawn of the Dead. Of course, I was all excited when it came out because there was almost like a 10-year gap between the original Night of the Living Dead. And then hey, George Romero's doing a sequel. So I went into this, like probably a lot of people thinking they'll never be as good as that one. But these guys did a good job, a damn good job on this film. And it's a guy who's not well liked by some people, Zack Snyder. Snyder and you got James Gunn, who's the writer on this, so they're just getting going.
Yeah,
before they get in and screw everything up for those of us who are comic book fans. But we won't get into that right now.
Well, one of the good things about Dawn of the Dead is it came out before there was this huge a resurgence of going back to old movies, old American movies, and remaking them for modern day audiences.
That's true.
And the thing that's different from this remake from the original is that the main thing about it is that it made fast moving zombies instead of the slow moving zombies. Now,
I love that.
We all know that Romero himself, who directed and wrote his own plethora of zombie films, was completely against running zombies, mostly because they're dead. They're decomposing. They can't fucking run. We know that.
Well, no, and they've got that classic line in the original Night of the Living Dead with the sheriff saying, "Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up."
Yeah, and they shouldn't be running for one thing. But in this movie, logic. Actually, not just this movie, but this movie started the trend with fast-moving stuff.
No, actually, I'm going to correct you on that a little bit because I think the inspiration came from 28 Days Later.
28 Days Later is not
but
zombies,
that's where I first saw fast-moving zombies, and it came out 2 years before this.
Yeah, but those aren't
I
zombies.
was not a fan of fast-moving zombies until I saw that movie, and I went, this is cool. So when I saw they did it in this, I was like, okay, this has got my interest now. They're going that route with fast zombies versus stumbling zombies.
So, well, the thing is, in 28 Days Later, they're not zombies, which means they're not dead. So, of course, they can run.
They're infected. It's like they're like The Walking Dead, but The Walking Dead was more like these because you had to die, and then
the only people who had fast-moving zombies were Italian filmmakers in the Zombie 3, 4, and the other crazy.
Fulci
crazy.
had fast ones in his.
They had fast ones, but those are movies most people, American audiences, have not seen. They much less even remember. But the very fast moving zombies came with this one. Now the thing with 28 Days Later
it was the rage virus.
Yeah, but the ideal behind that infection bolstered an entirely different subgenre of movie where people are infected and not zombies.
Absolutely, yeah.
We have tons of infected movies out there now where people aren't dead; they're infected with a virus. But this one was, other than including all the Italian zombie movies that I've seen, that came out in the 70s.
Yeah, these were dead people. Yeah, these were dead people, and they reanimated, and yeah, absolutely.
They're dead, but the way that Zack Snyder shoots them, it makes them very, very, very visually stunning.
Yeah,
the way he shoots them in this movie, and that aesthetic was carried on to other zombie movies that came afterwards that utilized this fast-moving zombies as well.
And George Romero actually said, after this movie came out and he watched it, he said he was actually quite impressed with it. So he admitted that he went in there thinking, this isn't going to work. It's not going to work, because he knew what it was, that was going to be with the fast moving zombies and all that. But he actually sort of liked this movie when he saw it after it came out.
Well, I've always enjoyed this movie for entertainment value. It's not a well-written film. Do not expect this movie to be it is not a well-written film.
No, James Gunn does not do a very good job on the screenplay.
It's one of his earlier scripts. You got to keep in mind this and Scooby-Doo 1 and 2.
Right. Well, I mean, I remember. Yeah, he caught some real hell from the fans thinking, you're bringing a Scooby-Doo writer in to do this zombie stuff?
Well, he also did Romeo and Juliet, so which I still have never seen.
But they did the one thing. I like this movie. I'll tell folks I do. There's a lot about this movie I like. But even though it takes place in a mall, just like the original, they did miss what made that first one so special. Yeah. I think. Even though they have a quote from there, you're like, why are these zombies all coming here? They said, well, it was an important place for them. They're coming because, this is the mall. And, that was true in 1978. I mean, that's, your waking moments, if you weren't working, you were at the mall. I was.
Well,
back in those days and all through the 80s,
Well, 78, you were just now getting into those huge mega malls.
Yes, that's what I mean. They were important places in our life.
But in 2004, malls aren't exactly the most important places.
No, they're not. And that's why they needed to, I agree with, they needed a good script on this to help deal with that issue, because it's not dealt with really well in this movie. But there's still a lot to like about this movie.
Well, there's a lot of great ideals in this movie, and this is one of the reasons it's such a well-regarded remake. There's a lot of great ideals in there, and it's a very visceral film. I think it's a visceral film because they added so many extra characters, and that's one of the faults of the movie. Whereas with George Romero's kind of kept it to the four main characters. This film has a ton of characters.
Oh my God, yes. It is too much sometimes.
And it's too much, and they don't spend enough time on any of the main characters. So they're almost, some of them are caricatures, like Ty Burrell, who I love in this movie.
Yes,
seems to be having
this is like one of his first gigs. Yeah,
he's having a lot of fun in this movie.
And the Modern Family hadn't come out yet, so I mean, he was not well known when this movie came out.
Nah, I knew him from something else, and I can't remember what it was back then.
He had some early TV stuff, and most of these guys, like he and Jake Weber, who was in Medium, played the husband. He didn't have much of a role in there, but he played. He was in Medium as the husband of the Medium.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys, because when I first saw the movie, it was like, where do I know this guy from? God, I know him from something, and I could, and then. I finally had to look it up. It's, that guy. Okay, because then he went on to do a lot of stuff after.
Well, yeah. I think the biggest names you're going to have in here is Ving Rhames.
Ving Rhames
who's known for a lot of stuff. Mekhi Phifer, who had been known for everything. Sarah Polley, who was like the queen at the time, but now
Yes.
she's a director in her own right. Thank God, she's
a very good director. Yeah,
very good director. And having those type of actors in this film carries it when the writing doesn't always. I mean,
good chemistry. It's a good chemistry.
It's great chemistry. People. It's great chemistry for these main actors, and even some of the lesser known actors who end up, having bigger roles later.
Yeah.
But the thing is that with this film, with so many characters, when they die or get eaten up or disappear or however you want to put it in there,
right?
It's more interesting to see them get killed than it is to see, oh shit, one of my favorite characters got killed.
That's true.
And that works for the film in the early aughts, as in that's what they wanted to see, because we either got those films too sanitized in the early 2000s, or we got those films that went the distance
too far.
Like this.
Yeah.
And from the very opening sequence, when Sarah Polley's character, Anna, and her husband are in bed and they're awakened by the little girl.
Oh my God, that's a graphic. I mean, that's what an intense scene that is.
It's an intense scene, but it also forecasts the audiences just what type of film you're getting.
Oh yeah, they set the table.
Not the Dawn of the Dead that Romero did, which was, and he started off with a very graphic scene too, when the police SWAT team is breaking into the tenement buildings.
Right. That's right.
But with this one, with our aughts audience for the early 2000s watching this was a far cry from some of the other early 2000 films that were coming out. That's
true, because in 28 Days Later, the infected didn't eat you. No. They just infected you. So, I mean, in 78, when Dawn of the Dead came out, there were two big things about it. One, it was, wow, he's finally making a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. Two, it was like, it's in color? Oh my God. I mean, because, that's what we were bloodthirsty. We wanted to see it. And Tom Savini did not disappoint in that movie. So, that's something they hold true in this one, Yeah. And I think you're right. I think a lot of films had been sort of sanitized again during this late 90s, early 2000s period. And so, okay, let's hit them right between the eyes. And they do with this one.
Yeah, and that's
they really get you.
And this film was did very well at the box office because of it.
Oh, it made a fortune. $28 million budget, and they made that in 1 week, in their first weekend. And I think they ended up getting almost, $150 million in the first year or whatever. So
the
huge success.
Yeah, one of the things is, with horror films, you can't pander to the horror crowd. And
that's right.
Zombies had not taken over the industry like they have now.
This was about 2 years before you had the book The Rising by Brian Keene, which really set into motion things like what Robert Kirkland would do with The Walking Dead and the graphic novels that came out and all that. And then, so we really saw from about 2006 on, that's when we got glutted with zombies. Really.
Yeah. Well, this one started.
Hell, I was in a zombie film in 2006. I mean, that's all anybody was shooting.
But before then, you couldn't get a zombie film made the same.
No, you couldn't get anybody to give you the time of day on those things.
But this one ushered in that whole thing, that whole concept of you could make a really simple monster, just a lot of gore. And so even the low budget zombie films had plenty of gore if the rest of the makeup effects weren't nearly that good.
That's right.
But for those of you who may have been living under a rock and have not seen Dawn of the Dead 2004, I'm just, we haven't talked anything about plot in this movie, but I just, No,
we got to get to that.
We're going to generally say it because the plot is very simple. What happens is Sarah Polley's character, Anna, who is a nurse,
right.
She wakes up with her husband one day, and the whole world has gone to shit. And the zombie apocalypse is coming.
There's a little subplot in there too that almost likens to Friday the 13th and stuff. I mean, this is a stretch, but she and the husband are having sort of their intimate date night. You know,
Yep.
they got a little kid, they got a little girl, so it's like, and so yeah, parents. I've never been a parent, so but it's hard to get together for those intimate moments when you've got a small child like that, and the kid's in bed and they're doing their thing, so they miss all of the special bulletins. They don't realize what's going on that whole night. They don't have the TV on and stuff because that's not what they're into. That they want to do them until the little girl wakes them up in the middle of the night. And unfortunately, the little girl is now a zombie, which is not good. So it almost like, okay, so if you have sex, you are going to die, which was the whole theme of all of the Friday the 13th films. I don't know if Snyder did that on purpose, but I just get a kick out of it every time I see this movie going, yeah, there is sort of a little subliminal message there, isn't there?
Well, Anna then escapes the house just barely.
Yes.
And then comes across someone who tries to steal her car, and she runs off the road.
Great scene.
And of course, what happens is, she wakes up and Ving Rhames is right there, who's a cop.
He's a cop, right?
But of course, within that same moment, he meets Mekhi Phifer's character, which I can't think to save my name. What is Andre?
Andre, yeah.
Whose wife is pregnant, and we meet
and that's where we meet
Michael, Jake Weber's
character, Michael, yeah.
And then they just happen to be by the mall, so they end up going to the mall.
They're heading there. They tell them.
They walk like 2 feet, and they see the fence is right there. They go into the mall.
Yeah, but I thought there was a line in there where they said, we're going to the mall.
Yeah, there is, but it's like literally right up the hill from where.
Oh, yeah, it's right there. Yeah, I mean, they're right almost there. Yeah.
They're not walking far. They're literally
No.
And then that's when they come in contact with more characters, which are the 3 workers there, led by CJ, who is also another character actor who's in a ton of stuff, Michael Kelly.
Yes.
But he has all this facial hair on him. It took me a second to realize who he was.
I was the same way. It was sort of like there's something about this guy that's familiar, and it's like...
So he leads these 2 other people. I guess they're originally the overnight security for the mall, part of them, because you find out that one of the other guys there is dead. And then of course it goes into more of the territory that the original movie was, where these people are trapped in the mall and all the zombies are coming there for some unknown reason.
And this is a little different because these guys, I mean, like CJ is like a total jackass. I mean, he's power hungry because he's got control whether he lets them in or not, and he's got the whole mall under his control, and these guys and the little trainee under his control and all that. He gets a little power mad. So you instantly don't like the guy. I mean, he's just a real jerk.
Well, and they're not the only ones. This is a group that started off with 5 people, then you get 3 more people, which means 8 people, and then pretty soon, when they're in the mall, they meet a whole truckload of more people.
Oh yeah, that was wild.
Almost halfway through the movie is when the truck arrives. I always kept thinking this was later. I kept thinking that these characters are so rushed into the film. Because one of them, the big lady, dies immediately, and then of course, was it Matt Furr? I always get his name screwed.
Yeah, you've got the older woman dies pretty quickly, and then you've got one who's pregnant.
But she's been, and that's where the whole thing about time period doesn't really gel with me, because she gets bitten pretty fucking early, and then she's slowly turning.
Yeah, she takes forever to become a zombie.
Yeah, she takes forever. Whereas Matt Frewer, I never pronounced his name. Sorry, Matt. I've been watching you since Max Headroom, and I've never.
Frewer. It's Matt Frewer, who's Max Headroom. That's right.
I love Max Headroom.
I do too. Yeah, he's great.
He has like 10 minutes in the movie. Like when he shows up, I'm thinking he has like a huge part, but he doesn't.
No, he makes quite an impression in this film.
But these new characters come in, and of course, some of them die, but then and then there's Andy across the street at the gun store.
Oh, he's the cool character, yeah.
But the thing is, in '78, you had the guns inside the mall. In this day and age, you can't have the guns inside the mall because they won't sell them inside the mall. So they had to have a
But
gun store.
I think they had a sporting goods store, but it didn't have any firearms. So they had
the gun store.
They had things they could turn into weapons, but they didn't have any guns.
So yeah, it's interesting how they add these types of elements into the film,
Right.
because Ving Rhames, the only way we get to really know his character is through the Andy character across the street, because they hit up on a good relationship, and of course Jake Weber and Sarah Pauli's has this relationship, but then most of the other characters are kind of even Lindy Booth Nicole, who is Matt Frewer's daughter in the film.
Yes.
Who falls for one of the Kevin Zegers character, as like, okay. The movie becomes
it's a little forced. Yeah, something it's one we don't really need in this thing.
Well, it's when everyone's hooking up and shit, it's like, oh, okay. But the thing is, it doesn't really take away from the film.
It doesn't. But it's just...
it does. It becomes this thing where, and you don't know exactly how long they've been at the mall. To be honest with you, at some
point, you don't. No,
you get the idea that Andy is starving, and the mall is surrounded by zombies. But you don't get a sense of how long they've actually been there.
That's true. That's true.
Whereas in the '78 film, it really drags on for a long time.
Oh yeah, they're there. They've been there a while. That's right.
They do still have those scenes in this film where they're all doing mundane stuff, but the mundane stuff lasts for it's like a, what do you call them? It's a shit.
A collage.
Yeah, there's a term for it, and I'm going a complete brain dead on the where it's a cutaway to all the different characters doing various different things. But it's
they've got to shore up. I mean, you think of a mall, all the entrances are glass. So they got to make sure that they're sort of shored in there so these things can't break in and get them.
Yeah. Well, they
all of that, and then they're getting what they need from all the different stores. And of course, the CJ initially goes, I better not catch you stealing anything. It's like, what? Are you nuts? And they finally get him locked away because he's such an idiot, so that they can actually survive. And the guy's a total power-hungry maniac.
Well, that's essentially what you have in Romero's films. I guarantee you that.
Oh, you always have one of those.
Yeah, though.
No, you do. I mean, I'm not critical of the part. It's just like, I hate this guy, but it's like, that you got to have. There's always one in these survival type scenarios that just is a real jerk and will get everybody killed or whatever, because he's looking out for himself.
Well, you got to remember the original film had Flyboy. Flyboy was that way too.
That's true. That's right.
Like Ken Fore's character always picked on him.
Here it's the guard who's the intern, or actually, it wasn't an intern. He was a trainee or whatever. Just the young guy. The young security guard.
So this is all like the plot of the film, and there's nothing wrong in general with the plot of the film.
No.
But the characters are not nearly as rich as characters as
I agree. They have too many of them. I think they don't have a chance to develop them.
Yeah, they're very superficial. They do that, in my opinion, because they want to be able to have people that they can kill throughout the movie.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you can almost set your clock to the kills. I mean, a bunch of them.
And when people, when modern audiences view these two films together, the original Romero version and this film, a lot of the modern audiences who didn't grow up with the original film prefer this film over that film, because it ends up, for them, that film ends up being duller, and this film ends up being a lot more action-packed, a lot more stuff happening, a lot more characters, but it's not a richer film. It's a much more entertaining and maybe engaging film.
Yes,
but it's not a richer film. Like it's very superficial, I think, is what we're doing.
Well, you were saying earlier that Zack Snyder came from an MTV background. He was making music videos and stuff. This is his first feature film, And a lot of this plays like MTV's. I mean, little segments that are very powerful, but maybe you're sort of weakly put together. You know, they're not cohesive in how. So you're right. I mean, the kills are the thing that's the movie. You know, the various kills that you see in there, the situations that lead up to them. And don't forget, we've got a dog in this movie that they find about halfway through the movie when they have to go down to the basement when the generator goes out. And there's a dog that's been down there the whole time, and there's zombies down there as well. So, and the dog probably plays a principal role better than some of these characters do, because he's big time. I don't even think they gave him a name.
Chips.
Chips. I mean, I'm talking about the actor, the dog actor. I don't think he has a real name. He's not listed in the credits. It's one of the rare times that.
No, but it does lead to the only problem with that is it does lead to the one character who does stupid things in the whole movie, which is
the daughter,
Nicole.
She's the one. If there's one person in there that does everything that puts everybody at risk, and they just let her do it, Nicole is the one that's like, we need to kill this gal now so that we can all stay alive, because everything she does causes problems for her.
Yeah. Well, the film is lucky in that I like Lindy Booth as an actress. She's on some.
Oh, I do too. Yeah, I've seen her in a ton of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know more. I know her mostly from all the freaking horror films she's done, which is like Wrong Turn and Cry Wolf.
She's done a bunch of them. Yeah.
Like I love those. I love both those movies.
Yeah.
The only reason why I know who the heck she is because she did a lot of movies.
Well, I think is she doing the New Librarians, because she was in the original one.
I don't know.
I've not seen the new one.
I know she's in it. I just never watched it.
Yeah. I mean, the original one I watched quite a few of them, but I haven't seen this new one that they just released.
Who knows? But as a zombie movie, as a newer version of a zombie film, I think it works really well. I think that it showcase because it was showing us as audience members who like zombie movies before it came out and who would like zombie movies after it came out. The concepts in this film and the execution in terms of the running zombies was a great not just concept, but in addition to the genre. Once this movie came back, it was free for all for anyone to come up with different types of zombies.
It'd been almost 30 years since the other one came out, so they were updating it as much as they could.
Yeah, and so you would only rarely get someone who strayed from the traditional Romero zombie, but after this movie, we got tons of different types of zombies. Slow moving ones that are like domestic slaves, like in Fido. We got Shaun of the Dead. We got Zombie Diaries, which we talked about earlier. We've so many different types of zombies.
They made 3,000 different makeups during the production of this film, of zombie makeups. This film. So they were quite diverse.
Yeah. And so there's a lot to be said about this film itself. It's actually also a really good debut as a director too.
I think so. Yeah.
Zack Snyder went on to do some pretty decent movies, such as the 300 film,
300,
Watchmen, among others.
Love that.
I know he tried to capture the magic that was in this movie with his Army of the Dead, but we haven't discussed that one on the podcast yet.
No, we haven't.
And, you don't want to really know how bad I think that movie actually is, because
superhero films. I know, because you and I disagree on that one. So
we do, and the thing is that like I said, this is it's nowhere near as good as the original Romero film for me, but it's a very good remake.
No, because the Romero film makes a statement about the way people were going. We were getting ready to go into the 80s. The me generation was really starting to rear its head. We were getting very materialistic. It was all about money, 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 and the one with the most stuff, who dies with the most stuff wins and stuff. And that was something that Romero captured in that whole mall sequence of those survivors in the mall, and that was something that really wasn't addressed in this film, which is what made the first film so unique, because there were some really powerful and Romero does this in all of his films, but especially in his zombie films, he always makes a social statement of some sort, using that as a vehicle. This one doesn't do that. That's the one thing that does hurt this film a little bit. So you don't get the materialism type thing. And I'm trying to remember how things were in 2004. It was 21 years ago. But yeah, the malls weren't as important to people, I think, during that time as they might have been in the late 70s, early 80s.
No, and part of that is the time period in which it was made. I mean, you go to the aughts, the early 2000s, the late 90s.
Right.
It's very hard to find those films that were actually trying to make a statement about something. It was all about.
That's right.
It was all those films. A lot of these films were made in order to catch the audience off guard if they want to be a really good horror film and give them something new and different and exciting.
Yeah.
Or it was pandering to the PG-13 crowd who didn't want stuff to be that extreme.
True.
And if you've been listening to podcasts, we've talked about a lot of these early odd films that kind of came and went without anyone remembering them because they weren't effective as horror films. Even though they were really popular with audiences, because they weren't popular with horror audiences. They were popular with general audiences, which is something different from their horror films.
True. Good point.
The thing is, nowadays, that is all out the window. When we have a movie like Terrifier 3 that breaks freaking box office records, we were saying now the door is wide open.
Anything goes. That's right.
Which is good for the horror genre, us horror fans out there.
Yeah.
For general audiences, because you're not seeing stuff that you have always come to have seen before.
Right.
The thing is, in the aughts, they were perfectly fine with these PG-13 horror films, but nowadays they aren't. So it would be interesting to see how they would come up with a new version of this 20 years later.
And I'm beginning to wonder if you could find something different, because I don't know if you could or not.
You know what? I don't either. I do think that James Gunn and Zack Snyder came up with something that they were trying to see into the future, because they were doing a film. With that could, all intents purposes, have bombed the box office. They were making an extreme zombie film, and zombies were not popular back then.
That's right.
I want to applaud them for their courage to do something like this, and it was a remake too of a really well regarded and loved horror film.
I think a majority of the people went into the theaters expecting that they weren't going to like this movie.
Yeah.
Because Romero had some very loyal, like me. I was a very loyal Romero fan, and for one, there weren't that many franchises being done through that 30-year time period. I mean, it's not as common as now. It's like you make a movie and you make a franchise. I mean, that's the going thing now. So we were very protective of the Living Dead franchise.
Well,
and I remember the remake of the Night of the Living Dead that had come out before this one by a couple of years.
No, 1990.
I guess it had. Yeah, it was 14 years. Yeah, I didn't really care for that one. It was okay, but it was like, no, I didn't capture what he got in '68. But this one got my attention a little more. I found myself liking it a lot. I was more entertained with this one. I think there was just something a lot of fun to watch. And you had your good guys and your bad guys you could root for, and of course, and again, folks, if you haven't seen this movie, spoiler alerts all over the round. CJ becomes a despised character in the beginning, but he sort of comes back around and redeems himself. And the ending of this movie sort of caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting what Snyder delivers in the ending of this movie. That one surprised me because the original Francine, the main female character, and Ken Foree, who is sort of the character that Ving Rhames plays in this one, they hop into the news helicopter and just ride off into the sunset, and we don't know what happens until we get to Day of the Dead, and we find out, well, yeah, it just got worse and kept getting worse and worse and worse. But in this one, it's a much different ending.
Which works. I mean, it works.
It worked, yeah.
It works. So before I forget, because we talked so much about this film already, I want to know: do you have any final thoughts in regards to Dawn of the Dead?
Oh, I just, I saw this one coming a mile. One particular thing they did, I saw it coming a mile away, but still, it made me cringe when I saw it. I mean, it really got to me. It was the pregnant woman gave birth to a zombie. We knew it was coming. I mean, you just knew it was coming, but I couldn't visualize how they're going to do it, and they did it pretty well.
Yeah,
it almost reminded me of the old 1970s film "It's Alive." The good one, the one that was the good, not the bad one, the good one.
The bad one.
About the killer babies.
Yeah, not the remake.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of the Larry Buchanan film. No, I want the Larry Cohen film is the one I'm talking about. Yeah, that's a wild scene.
Yeah, well, because
when the baby's being born.
I couldn't tell you if I'd seen a zombie baby before this movie. So it was really impressive when I saw it in this movie.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'd seen a baby. We just saw a little girl in Romero's originally Night of the Living Dead, and then we saw the little girl in this one, but not a baby.
There have been zombie babies since this movie. But this was like the first one I remember having seen.
Me too. Yeah, right. Exactly.
I wouldn't put it past the Italian filmmakers of the 70s and 80s to have.
Oh, yeah, they did anything. Yeah, they did all kinds of things.
But for me, I even though I have faults with the movie itself, it is in hindsight that I have faults with the movie. Because time is either can be generous or not kind to some movies. When I originally saw this movie at the theater, this was one of my favorite films of the year. Hence why I told Jim I saw it like 5 or 6 times within a year. And I don't need to. Every time I watch the movie, I now enjoy it. But for the podcast, I kind of took another step to look at some of the more critical aspects of film, so I could relay some of that stuff to you. Now, that should not deter you from watching this film. This is still one of the best remakes of the modern era. So
I agree. I can't argue that at all. Yeah,
it may not be as deep as Romero's films, but to be honest with you, there are very few directors that can make movies like Romero did.
Well, and in 2004, movies just weren't being made like that.
They weren't there, yeah.
No, nowadays, they were very. I won't say this is. It's hard to put it into words. I don't want to say they were more shallow during this time, but we got this stretch where action movies sort of dominated the scene in the early aughts, and they sort of put stories on the back burner, and it was just all about the action and hope they could tie it all together and make a little bit of what they were really not bad, not well written, and still making a lot of money. But people wanted to see the action. That's what they wanted.
But those are my thoughts on this. Film. I want people to go see this movie. If you
it's entertaining as hell.
Entertaining as hell. It's just under 2 hours, I believe, and it's entertaining as hell. And despite all the characters, the one thing that having that many characters does for you is you get to watch a lot of people die, which is not something that you would get from a Romero film.
That's true.
But from this film, you get to watch a lot of people die.
Yeah.
So with that, as we enter our end of the episode, we like to rate the movies based on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being very bad and 5 being absolutely excellent. Where on the scale, Jim, do you put the Dawn of the Dead remake from 2004?
I'm looking at about a 3.5.
3.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 4. I may have faults with it, but I've never been bored for this film.
I can't argue that.
A lot of times. For me, it's not. This is not a guilty pleasure. A guilty pleasure for me would be a movie in which most people, other than me, think it's bad.
No. A guilty pleasure is one that rates out at 1 or lower, but you still love it, and you can't explain why you love it.
Can't explain why. This movie here,
and I love a lot of those films. Yeah.
This is a film that's really well regarded and really, really, really good. And so,
like I said, even Romero liked it. After he saw it, he said he was quite impressed with it.
So I want to implore you, if you've never seen it, to go back and rewatch it. And even if you have seen it, take a chance, rewatch it, reevaluate what you liked about it, reevaluate what you didn't like about it. Okay. With that, I want to thank you, Jim, for joining us on this conversation of horror, in which we discussed the movie Dawn of the Dead from 2004. For everyone here at Something Wicked Entertainment, I want you all to go out there, watch these films, check out some of the films that we've had in the past. We have a plethora of episodes about a lot of different horror movies out there that I'm sure you will enjoy. Make sure to like, share, follow, subscribe. Do that thing you do to your favorite podcast app on Spotify or YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Regular episodes are every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Our special themed month episodes are usually on Monday at 8 a.m. Regardless, take a chance on us. Make sure to put in the comments anything that you like or dislike, as well as include films that you would like us to discuss, because we are always interested in knowing what you, the audience, loves to listen about. With that, I want to thank you all for joining us, and have a pleasant day. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers, executive producer Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.